Managers, how did you deal with a super Karen? Story 1. Rundown. Couple staying in double room. Female 35, male 39. Male is built like a stone poo house, totally bald and looks aggressive as frick. Female's like an Instagram model, covered in tattoos and loads of makeup. Very pretty though. Stay, 2 nights. Additional. They went to the same club as the group of 19 to 21-year-olds in my family room downstairs. 4 people. So, they came in the first day and seemed like really nice people. But after 30 minutes, they were fricking vigorously for hours. And how do I know? Because their room, room 2, is directly above my living room. Whatever, people do frick. It's natural. Except for the noise coming from these 2 made me think there was more like 8 to 9 people in there. So that night they started arguing, mostly him, but it was non-stop. They went out, the kids downstairs went out, and at 2 a.m. they all came back together. The man and the woman went into the ground floor room and had an after party to 5 a.m., at which point a guest left to go to the airport 3 hours early so he could actually get some rest. The man and woman went upstairs at 5 a.m. too, only to proceed back to frick until 9 a.m. Around midday they went out, then came back arguing. I should note that at this point they'd slammed every door in the house whenever they used one. She knocked on my door with a broken picture frame which has my rules and contact/fire safety info on it. It was obvious that they'd slammed the door open and it smashed. She handed it to me and said it just fell off. I said, okay, I'll vacuum up the glass out of the carpet. I said, no need to worry, they're only cheap frames. Okay, we're just going out. They went out. They came back 1 hour later. They went into room 1 downstairs again and I had my flat door open because I was busy in the guest house and I heard them say, we just went to the last post for breakfast, blah blah. Everything after that was pretty normal. 1 week later, I get this. Title, Manager ought to be more friendly and care about his guests. Pros, clean rooms. Cons, when closing the door, the information sheet was held up by a screw and a bit of glass over it, which broke on my foot. When I knocked and told the manager, he didn't care or apologise. We had to leave early to go to a hospital as I had glass in my foot. The audacity. What did she expect? A refund or something? It's funny because they don't know me at all. And if they did know, they would know I'm overzealous when it comes to making sure people are cleaned and band-aids or bandaged up in case of injury. It's like saying the Queen ran into your local pub and downed someone's pint and ran away. Also, the hospital part, what a joke. Our local A&E takes a minimum of 4 hours to be seen. They were only gone for an hour at most. Cool, these 2 sound like a right pair and all, don't they? Arguing, fricking, lying, breaking things, then complaining that the manager didn't care about them and didn't apologise, rah, rah, rah. Oh, guys, there's really no worse people than this, is there? Story 2. Lady got body lotion as a gift. This particular lotion was 5+ years old, so I explained that if she returned it and didn't exchange it, she would get -$1. She argued that the price sticker said $11.50, you're ripping me off, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. Yes, ma'am. So I offered to show her something else so she can get her money's worth. She demands to see the ingredients of every product we have because they're all poisonous and she doesn't want to be poisoned. She starts asking me how each ingredient was made and sourced. I said I was happy to give her the number for customer service. She said she wanted something lavender because she heard from a magazine that lavender is relaxing and a stress reliever. I show her every lavender item we have and she says she wants one that doesn't have poison in it. Finally convince her to get a lavender perfume to use on her linens. I tell her I need ID to do the exchange and she accuses me of trying to steal her identity. Long story short, she read her ID number and left. Next day, she came storming in, demanding to speak to me because I sold her a defective product and she said that the perfume wouldn't spray. I took the cap off and sprayed it. The mist cloud was in the air nowhere near her and she started coughing and dry heaving and waving her hands to swat it away, screaming at me how dare I spray it because it was going to poison her. I explained that she would have to press harder on the plunger in order for it to spray, but it was not defective and I'd be happy to exchange it for another, but they're all the same and would need to be pressed equally as hard. She then comically tried to spray it with the weakest finger strength I've ever seen. Then left in a huff about we wasted her money. Long story short, Psycho Lady tries to return 5-year-old lotion for full price, then accuses us of poisoning her and stealing her identity. To be honest, that sounds more like a her problem, I can't lie. There's got to be some issues going on there that can't be, that can't be legit. Like, saying first of all, bringing back 5-year-old lotion is pretty damn gross. Like, why would you even think you can exchange that anyway? Do you know what? I feel like I can spot a Karen a mile off. You know, when all those memes were coming out with like the specific haircuts and hairdos that Karens have, like hairstyles. I do feel like that's true. However, I can spot a Karen a mile off. I know exactly when a Karen's approaching and I know to beware of them because they're a handful. Karens are a handful, especially when you work in customer service. You come across them all the time. People that just want to ruin your day on purpose. People that just constantly complain and boring. Story 3. The theatre I work at has a customer appreciation week every summer where movies are free. Needless to say, every cheapskate within a 50-mile radius shows up, not just our good customers. Now this makes it very, very busy. If you want a seat, you better show up 30 minutes early. Want to sit together? 45 minutes. Some people come and grab tickets a couple hours early, then leave, which is fine, but we warn them that they still need to come back early if they want to sit together. Well, 2 non-regulars that we've never seen before decide to show up 10 minutes before our most popular movie. They'd gotten tickets early but wanted snacks. The line for concessions is super long, and the popcorn machine is tiny and trying its best to keep up. Nevertheless, they join the line. It takes some of them like 20 minutes to get their popcorn and soda. They then try to find seats in the theatre, which is completely sold out. Surprise, surprise, they can't find any. They come screaming up to the still busy concession stand, and the manager goes in and informs them that there are seats free, just not together. They say that this is unacceptable and demand we stop the movie, make everyone move so they can sit together and completely restart the film. No. My manager informs them that they should have gotten here earlier. They started screaming at her that we should have reserved their seats and roped them off for people who bought tickets early. They then demanded a refund for their concessions, which were somehow half gone already. 1. You did not buy tickets. They were free. 2. We do not have numbered seats. We are a small theatre and aren't that fancy. Also, we don't want to deal with that rubbish. 3. We're not going to rope seats off so that your entitled butt can swagger in 10 minutes into the movie. My manager gave them a refund just to get them to leave. They said they were never coming back. Oh no. An hour later, she gets a complaint via email about the rude employees at the theatre that should be fired. It was detailed. They hadn't realised that the head manager had been helping them. She had to walk away before she replied to that one. Long story short, get to your free movie early. Sorry for the novel. Also, sorry for formatting. I'm on mobile. Honestly, where do these people get the audacity? That is actually the main thing out of all this, isn't it? Where do these Karens get the audacity from? Like, is it an issue with their upbringing? What is it? Because they somehow think they can get whatever they want and they have to be treated in a above and beyond manner at all times, no matter what their attitude is. Where do they get the audacity from, gang? I need to know, because I could literally punch all Karens square in the nose. Do you know what I mean? Left, right, good night for the Karens. Don't want to see you again. Stop ruining my day. Find something better to do, Karens, all right? Like, who really has got the time to send in a complaints email? Like, do you know what I mean? I know if something's really bad, and okay, if it is really, really bad treatment, then I would do it. If it was like genuinely really bad. But if it wasn't and you're just doing it out of boredom, like, who has the time? Obviously Karens, but geez. Story 4. Not a manager, but I witnessed this. I work at an airport for 2 rubbish budget airlines. I just do the cleaning on planes. But I was out in the concourse waiting on a plane to unload before I could go and clean it. A man walked up to one of the gate agents and told her that he had an emergency and needed to be on the next plane to Seattle. Well, he had a ticket for a flight to Denver, which was boarding in 15 minutes. He'd already checked in, paid, sent his bags to the plane going to Denver, and gone through security. The gate agent explained to him that we didn't have any Seattle flights that day, and he wouldn't have been able to get his money back for the Denver flight. He looked confused and said that a Delta flight was leaving for Seattle in 10 minutes. He wanted it on that plane, and he wanted it free of cost. Gate agent told him no, she couldn't possibly do that, and he started to get upset. Talked on the phone to the gate agent's supervisor, who told him the same thing. Eventually, a manager walked up and explained that we don't interact with Delta at all. If he wanted a Delta ticket, he'd have to go back to the ticket counter and buy a ticket through Delta. Even then, the Seattle flight was in the final boarding process, and he couldn't even walk from where he was standing to the concourse Delta was on at the time. The guy just kept repeating that he had an emergency and we needed to put him on that flight, which we couldn't possibly do. He was a super entitled butt. Eventually, the guy walked off and didn't get on the Denver flight, but his bags sure did. Long story short, guy on a budget airline flight to Denver wants us to switch his flight to a Delta flight to Seattle for free. We don't work with Delta. The guy doesn't understand how airlines work. He doesn't get on any flights that day. His bags go to Denver. Okay, his bags going to Denver is karma. And he deserves it, entitled piece of poo. Guys, if you can't already tell, Karens make me mad. They're the worst kind of people just because I deal with them constantly. Like every day, day in, day out, day in, day out. They deserve all the karma. Story 5. I was young. Bar manager at a small town bar joint. 11 p.m. Monday night. We usually closed around 10, but the KM and I were watching Adult Swim. Lady and her young 10 at most daughter, I'm guessing, came in. Lady, I want a martini. Me, sure. Vodka or gin, shaken or stirred. Sweet, dry. Perfect. Whatever you like. Lady, I said martini. I repeat. She says, a martini. A fricking martini. You know what that is, right? I repeat. Lady, just make me a fricking martini. Me, Mom, you obviously are confused about your order. I don't think I can serve you, especially since you're escorting and responsible for a child. You may be intoxicated. She shoots her see you next Tuesday. Manager, now! I literally do a slow-mo 360 and flip my hat around. My bartender said some witch was giving him a bowl full of a spoon's worth of rubbish soup. What's up? She demanded my name, told me she was calling the governor and the press about it. I told her, tell the news people we don't serve bums here. My boss, owner, reviewed the tape and said it was the funniest thing he'd seen since Judge Judy aired. Story 6. I run a comic book store. One day we're running a Pokemon card tournament. Woman comes in with 2 kids, 5 and an 8-year-old, and another kid's friend, 8. They show up, pay their entry fee. She then tells us that they've never played before. I'm sitting there like, okay, hard mode time. I can do this. I've got an hour to build 3 decks and teach them how to play. I've got this. 20 minutes goes by and I'm finally at the teaching stage. Everyone is having a great time. I turn to the youngest kid and ask him to read a card for me, and he says, I can't read. What the frick? So I let the kids play and call the mother. I tell her that her kid can't read and can't participate in the tournament. She wants to leave him there. I want her to come pick him up. There were 2 staff members and 24 kids. No way I can keep track of one kid not participating. So I hit her with the, I'm not a daycare line. What a mistake. This woman goes off, yelling, screaming, demanding the owner, etc. I tell her she's got to come get him, and I hang up. 15 minutes later, she's in the store, screaming and yelling. She demands the owner's cell number. Frick, no, I'm not giving you that. She starts calling me names, insinuating that I'm being mean to her because I don't get laid. At this point, I ban her and her kids, drop everyone from the tournament and tell them to leave or I'll call the cops for trespassing. They leave. End of story, right? Wrong. The next day, my co-worker gets a call. Yes, this is Constable XYZ, and I need the personal contact information for me and owner, as woman's name, would like to press charges. My co-worker, bless her heart, says that she needs to see a badge before giving out that information and then ends the call. In this woman's infinite wisdom, she got her husband to impersonate a police officer to try and get my personal cell number to harass me. I called my local police precinct. Unfortunately, the call wasn't recorded, so it's shaky grounds to press charges, so that's where the story ends. Some people just do not know when to stop, do they? Not at all. Like, this woman, she's just doing pointless things now to ensure that she's won this argument and she's closing the case. Like, she's just purposely trying to ruin this person's life. That is a Karen for you. But no time for him. Absolutely no time for him. Story 7. I work in the admissions department at a zoo. We work closely with the membership department and are really friendly with each other. When people purchase membership, they get a card that says their name, how many adults, how many children, and if they're allowed to bring in guests, etc. The card says clearly that you must show ID per card. Sometimes we're friendly or lazy and ask for one ID for the whole group. Well, a week ago, some guy didn't have his ID. I don't know how he drove to the zoo, since you need a form of ID to drive. We told him that without an ID, we can't let him in. The guy got mad and started screaming at us, saying random rubbish to us. He demanded to see a manager. Good thing our manager, for admission, not membership, was on site. She explained to the guy that without ID, we can't let him go in. Showed him on the card where it explains to show ID. The guy screams at her, I know who paid the membership. I should be allowed to go in without an ID. My manager responded, "No ID, no entry." He asked her to see a manager. Her response was, "I am the manager." He then asked if there was someone higher than her he could speak to. So she told him, "If you want to do anything, you have to speak with the membership." So he goes to membership, and what they told us is he was being a bumhole and screaming that he paid for it and blah, blah, blah. The manager for membership was called, and because he screamed at him, they denied his entry to the zoo. He might be right. It sounds like he belongs in the zoo with the rest of the animals. Story 8. Work for a passenger railroad in Cincinnati. 23, male, wear reflective/high-vis shirts and pants. We have to run ahead of our dinner train and flag each crossing, stopping, and traffic due to a ridiculous rule set by the railroad we run on. Mind you, we go 7 to 10 miles per hour, fairly easy to keep up with. Saturday, I drive up to a crossing with the lights flashing already and start flagging cars across since the train is at least 1 minute away. Middle-aged man drives up to me, stops before the crossing. I wave harder at him to come through. He speeds up beside me and stops on the crossing. "I don't know you're with the railroad. You could just be some yahoo." What? "Okay, sir. Continue on. The train's right there." "Why should I listen to some young kid like you?" "Because if you don't, you're getting hit by the fricking train. Now move." "I'll be speaking with your manager," as he drives off. I get fuming and throw flags on the ground. An hour later, I'm back. As the train goes the other way, my general manager, 23, male, 6 foot tall, is standing with me, helping protect the crossing. Man returns, yells at him, "Who's your manager? I'd like to report him for being a bumhole." Boss looks at me, turns to him and says, "I am. Now get the frick off my railroad." Guy gently drives away. Long story short, older man stops on railroad tracks, is a bumhole. Manager is a bigger, better bumhole. You've really got to love these stories where the manager sticks up for their colleagues, don't you? You just have to. That's how it should be like. Like, if the manager knows a guy's just being a douche, like, just be a douche back. You're not paid enough, hun. Like, give it to him. Stick it to the man. Stick it to the man. Stick it to the man. Story 9. Not a manager, but I'm an optician. A woman comes in demanding to speak with the manager immediately. Well, he's with another patient, so I offer to hear her out and get started on whatever problem she's having so she doesn't have to wait with nothing being done. She says no, walks over to the manager, interrupts the patient he's with. This patient was a guy in his 20s and was having issues with his glasses due to a big change in RX. He actually was there earlier and came back just to discuss his options with the manager, and demands that the manager stop helping the guy and help her instead, immediately. My manager folded because it's retail and he didn't want to deal with his boss hearing about it. So the thing she was so upset about? 10 freaking months ago, she ordered contacts from us and had 2 valid prescriptions in the computer system. My co-worker ordered the wrong one for her. She only just noticed it was the brand she didn't actually want. Obviously, she could see fine with them. My manager refunded her and gave her a year's supply for the brand she did want. I just hope she freaking dies. She's a terrible person. I know all companies handle customer service differently, but your manager seems a little thin-skinned. She'll be back with another complaint expecting to be catered to now. See, that's very difficult as well. If you say you're feeling a bit generous one day, maybe you're in a good mood, and you do one thing for someone, they will remember that, trust me, and they will come back with vengeance and demand the same service. I've been there before. So actually, it backfires. Like, it doesn't work out well for you, even though you're doing a good thing. These people are tough, okay? Once you give them a special kind of service, you're always giving them that kind of service. And they will spread the word, and you'll be expected to do that for other people. So, a word of advice, always be stubborn, because word travels fast, gang. Story 10. I was doing sales. I forgot what the call was exactly, but it went along something like this. "Hey, I'm Juice Kid 313 from AMCE. Am I speaking to John Doe?" Yeah. "I spoke to you recently about..." "I'm sorry, I don't understand your accent. Are you even in America?" "Yeah, I spoke to you in town. We talked about the service." All this was true. I have no accent either. "Listen here, you Indian witch." "I'm not Indian. I'm Russian. The whitest guy you could see. I want to talk to your frickin' manager to get taken off your frickin' list." Alrighty. I hand my phone to my super American boss who loves to argue. He started to argue with the other guy on the phone, screams, "Frick you, buddy!" And that is how I had to pull out my phone out of drywall. I have absolutely no idea what was going on in that one. That one was a bit all over the place, wasn't it? Or am I just losing my mind? Anyone that has any idea what was going on in that one, please leave a comment below so I can read it later. Thank you guys, you saved. Story 11. At my shop, we have a strict no return policy. Unless it's manufacturer error, of course. Basically, If you break it or have buyer's remorse, you're rubbish. You're out of luck. We have 3 signs in our store that say no returns or refunds, and on every receipt. This lady had buyer remorse because we bought something 3 days before and we put it on sale. She wanted to return it and then buy it back. I refused to do that because we do not need to have sales. She started flipping out, demanding, saying I'm too dumb to be a manager and for me to get the manager. I walked into the back office, waited 30 seconds and walked back out and said, "Hi, I'm the manager today. How may I assist you?" She then said she wanted to speak to the general manager. I repeated the process. She then asked to speak to the owners. I told her that the owners are silent owners and leave me in charge to do as I want. I make the decisions for everything. She insisted I should give her their cell phone numbers. When I refused to give them her number, she said, "If you don't call them right now and give me that price, I'll write a review." I laughed and told her that's fine. Leave one. I have 65-star reviews and 24-star reviews. That's it. One star is fine. Just imagine that feeling when a Karen asks to speak to the manager and you are the manager. When you turn around and you say, "I am the manager," that must be such a thrilling feeling, mustn't it? Like you would feel like a proper boss lady/man. I'm yet to have that feeling. Story 12. An elderly gentleman demanded I serve him undercooked fish because dark fried fish is bad for his colon cancer. He proceeded to tell me to stick my hand in a deep fryer for a few seconds and compare it to the colour of the fish. I started getting nitty back at him at this point, and he kept saying he had colon cancer, like it gave him a pass for being a bumhole. Oh, I was so uncomfortable. This guy also came into my restaurant a few weeks prior to this incident and threw a fit because he claimed we didn't wash our hands. I invited him back to the kitchen area if he wanted, and he threatened to call the health department. His colon cancer, getting nitty, being a bumhole. Noticing a theme here. Story 13. I once had to redo a 500 print photo order of wedding photos at 1 a.m. We were a 24-hour store. For a woman who was flying out of Houston at 5 a.m. because she knew what she was doing and edited them herself all online and cut off the heads of everyone in the photos. Everyone. All of them half heads or no heads. It shut down my lab for 4 hours. 2 hours for the headless horseman photos, 2 hours for the redos. I couldn't take any digital orders for that whole time. I had to reroute them in the system to our nearest location and have our autodialer leave the customers' messages, letting them know their orders would be ready by the time specified, only at a store 25 minutes away. I've had jobs where people screamed in my face. I currently am in a career where I come home with bruises and bumps and scrapes from unhappy special needs students, and I have never cried at any job but this one. I literally had to go have a cry in the bathroom on my lunch break because it was so freaking frustrating and I just got on the promotion. Story 14. I'm an on-floor supervisor for a call centre for a benefits admin for roughly 62 high-scale client companies. I get a lot of those calls. However, 2 take the cake. 1. This dude berated me for 30 minutes because we cancelled his Cobra Dental because he never paid us. Quote, "It's not my fault I didn't check my mail for 3 months, so I didn't know I had a bill to pay." 2. This lady whose mum was dying in hospice, the only reason I didn't hang up on her, screamed how we were all freaking stupid moronic peons because we used the term POA process when she had a guardianship, not a BOA. She was so hung up about the meaning of the word that she would hang up and call back and get someone else to just insult them. This resulted in almost 20 calls just to call my agents freaking idiots and rant how she was a high-paid lawyer and she would sue us. Again, because we said the words power of attorney, which by the way is the official process name designated by that company. Ugh, gang, I've had enough of Karens now. Anyone else? They are just scum of the earth. They actually are. I think I might go to jail one day for killing a Karen. No, I'm joking. That was a bit too far. I wouldn't. But I've thought about it. Joking, guys. I would never do that. Story 15. Not a manager, but a friend of mine is an assistant manager. I have this friend whose mother has one of the worst cases of narcissism that I've ever seen. Also very much a sadist. Anyways, my friend works at a girly store, and this lady buys rubbish, asks everyone how it looks, and then proceeds to try to milk my friend for a discount. My friend instantly says no and then continues to witch. Later, about 2 or 3 weeks later, she apparently comes in asking if she could return the items. My friend instantly says no because of their return policy. The lady got sassy and mean and began asking in a very rude voice, "I want to talk to your manager." Friend says, "Hi, I'm the manager." Lady leaves instantly. Lady tries again later. Like, no. Oh yeah, these Karens try their luck. Trust me, they try their luck. They will keep on going. These mothered beeps do not stop, okay? Let's get one thing straight. They do not stop. Story 16. So, this is back in my days of managing gentlemen's clubs. Got called over to the bank, the place where change is made, funny money off your credit card charge, etc., to help someone out. Get over there and guy goes off on me. What the frick? I can't talk to you, you're too dang tall. You're hurting my neck. Get me someone shorter. For reference, I'm 6'8" tall, round about 350 pounds. So I call over the other manager, who happens to be 5'2", depending on the shoes he's wearing. Guy asking for help flips out. You think this is funny? I asked for someone shorter, so you call over a frickin' midget. What the frick? Short manager gets fuming. Yelling issues between the two ends up with midget manager punching dude in the groin and dude getting thrown out. Plenty of other fun ones, but that one always makes me smile. Come to think of it, what actually is a gentleman's club? I've never heard of that before. Well, I have, but, I don't know anything more than the name of it, if that makes sense. Someone please let me know what it is, in detail in the comments, because I'm actually really intrigued, because I think I've got the wrong idea of what it is. I'm thinking it's like a strip club, but it's not, is it? It's something else completely different. Is it like a private kind of clicky thing? What is it? I'm not going to Google, I'm going to wait for someone to tell me in the comments, okay? Story 17. Well, I work for a subcontractor, and once I had to let a guy go the second week of his employment. He came into work high as frick, and I told him to go home and sober up. Came in drunk, came in and didn't work. Anyway, he told his father some lies about the circumstances about me letting him go. So the father comes in and is really angry with me for destroying his son's chance of getting clean. He chews me out for a good 5 minutes. All I said was, your son came into work high, so I had to tell him to go home and sober up. 3 days out of the 10 that he worked here. Story 18. Not the full manager, but assistant in rentals. Had a woman who booked the previous night. We got massively overbooked, simply because I spent an hour on the phone with Traveller City and your company to get this reservation. This reservation means I have a car. Kept fighting me until the district manager took over and basically kicked her out because she'd gotten reservations to override the system and put it through, even though we didn't have vehicles. Had a friend of a girl at our airport location book a car without asking for the day off. Had to fight me for 20 minutes over $5 because her friend didn't have the courtesy to check if we even had a car for her. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos coming daily.